I was born in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
I was born in the UK.
I come from a family of settlers, African Americans that migrated back to Africa.
Conversations that I've had with Black Americans though, folks here often think that I've had an easier ride because I'm from Europe.
You don't know if you haven't traveled, if you haven't seen, if nobody's told you,
Right.
then you don't know.
So
So it's my responsibility to educate you and bring you up to speed.
Greetings and welcome back to Start a Conversation. My name is Dr. Shani Byard. So let's use this platform right now to talk about who you are authentically. We are told a lot of things about who we are, and that tends to get internalized. I would love to take the opportunity for you guys to share your legacy, because I feel your legacy is my legacy. Your legacy is my legacy. Your legacy is my legacy. Everyone throughout the diaspora, it's our village. All of our accomplishments and struggles are all our own. So I think it's a good time to just kind of share who you are. Where do you come from? What sort of foundation do we really stand on? Who are we?
Who I am, I always, our history for Liberia, it's always know who you are, know where you come from. Mm-hmm. And the story has been so much ingrained in our mind. For me, I identify myself as a settler. When I look at my ancestors, I look at my great-grandfather, I'm like, he came from Virginia and he moved back and he wanted to make something happen. Taking a country to independence, signing a Declaration of Independence, getting everybody together underneath one flag. I look at that side, and I also look at the other side, which I have family that migrated from Nigeria through Sierra Leone. And when they got to Liberia, he was a carpenter, and then his son became president. So when I look at myself, I see someone who has quite a bit to offer to society. Mm-hmm. I see myself as, I'm going to be a father soon. So just that I'm worth something, that I have an impact, that I can impact the world, that I can make it a better place, and that I have the ability to do something great, not famous, not famous, but definitely to impact people's life in a very small way, in a very subtle way that, it's not big, it's not like a grand scale, but every day I think that I can bring an encouraging factor to somebody, or I can move a business or my business, whatever, I can move it forward and leave the world better.
I actually just thought about this just now. Years ago, back in, I guess it would have been 2006, I was sent on a work assignment back to Barbados. And part of the assignment was actually looking at doing research on my family tree. It was the 200th anniversary of the abolition of the Slave Trade Act in the UK. So I was there actually researching my family, and we got back as far as my great-grandmother on my mother's side. And because it was a work assignment, my mum made, I had all this equipment with me. I had like a satellite dish that was set up in my mum's backyard, and I worked. It was like heavy stuff. But my mum, in her very quiet and sweet way, she said, well, this is interesting. She said, we look here at your grandmother's name. And she said, and then we have you. And she said, she had no voice. And you speak to millions of people every day. Mm-hmm. That is your work. No one listened to her. People listen to you. And just that, I'm not with that station anymore, but that for me is my truth. Yeah. That I am fortunate enough to be free. Mm-hmm. I'm fortunate enough to be a woman who can travel the world independently and be welcomed in most places, but also that through my writing, through my radio work, and any other medium that I choose to express myself in, that I can do my bit to tell the world the truth about us.
Yeah.
And I feel that I feel that as a responsibility. I feel it as a gift that I can give to my child. There is a lot of power in the pen. There is a lot of power in the voice. And that for me is how I feel that I can, like you say, it's like leaving that legacy that, you know, I don't want to be famous. It's not anything like that. But that if my boy, when he's older, if he decides to run for president, be an astronaut, find a cure for cancer, whatever it is that he wants to do, that he can do that on the strength of who he is, and that people will look past this.
Something changed when I became a father, and I think she talks a lot about that. And it's like, what am I leaving behind, and what is it that I can teach him? That the tools that I feel like I used as a means of survival and getting out of, you know, this situation, whatever it may be, to survive this crazy world we live in. But I think about that a lot, and I want to make it better for him, and for the likes of him. I go back home to Ethiopia whenever I can. My family still lives there, and I visit, and I come back with the sense that, man, I really have a good here. The one thing I kind of want to just, you know, bring up is to remind ourselves that we are great. We can be great, but you know, we haven't been provided some of the tools that I feel like are needed to get us to the next steps and the next stages. We gotta get things straightened out, and we can play a part in that in a positive aspect, or I can just give up and feel beaten and, you know, say, to hell with everything. But I can't afford to do that, and I think this is where we are.
At a crossroads. Yeah.
Right. So just to kind of close this out, what specifically can you do in addition to ensuring that you build that legacy for your family, that you do pay it forward? Because those are two major things that can chip away at racism, right? At institutional racism, is that we take care of our own and we ensure that the future does not repeat the past, right?
Yeah.
Adding to that,
Black people around the world very much take their cultural cues from Black America, you know, and I think in this digital age where so much more is being put out, you know, we really can use our social media channels to try and change some of that negativity that's being put out, you know, putting out the positive messages, however you choose to do it. But, you know, that will go a long way to kind of, you know, beating down racism, but also letting folks know that, you know, kind of Black America is a lot more beautiful and complicated sometimes than news media would let you believe.
Absolutely.
And I definitely appreciate that it is an economic luxury, but travel. You know, when you travel and you see how our East African brothers are living, or our West African, say, I've got the East and West sitting right here. Maybe you should be sitting the other way. So anyway. But, you know, but when you travel and you see different people and you see how they live and what they experience, and the fact that, you know, I traveled extensively as a woman alone and have been welcomed in so many places and have made lifelong friends in different places just by virtue of going to somebody else's land.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to dislike someone when you sit and you break bread.
Yeah.
You know, regardless of color. So I would say if there's a way to kind of help someone get a passport, or even just go to a different state, you know, that really opens up the mind just to say, we all have our struggles, we all have our joys, we have a lot in common. Let's start that conversation there.
Thank you guys
Thank you.
much for sharing your experiences. I think it's been great.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for
This was
having
awesome,
us.
actually. Very
I was raised in a racist household with a father, but also the images that I was getting over the television, etc. You know, all the people in positions of authority were white.
Into Sambos, you know, as a kid, you knew, all I saw was like, oh, these cute cartoon characters. I didn't know that it was, you know, something disrespectful. It was just a fun thing to do.
That are being made to change, so that I think that's a big problem that happens in education is there's majority white faces in front of classes that are majority not white faces talking about these things in the past where people were beaten down and oppressed.